If you have a specific question for one of us specifically, just let us know which person that you're asking the question for. If it's just a general question for any of us, we'll refer all those to Louis.
Okay.
Yeah, and we don't want to pontificate. Just ask the question. If it's, we don't need the whole scenario of the situation. If somebody got put off the clock, we don't need to know what happened, how it happened, why it happened. Just somebody got put off the clock and just have what should we do or shouldn't do. That way everybody, because we want to be courteous to get everybody to get as many questions answered as possible. So if anybody has a question, we'll go ahead and get started, except for Kelly, because we can actually put Kelly up here on the panel to assist. Melvin.
Hey, Greg, Melvin Bell, rank 131 St. Louis, and it's not a question, just a comment. And I talked to Louis and Jay already, and I want to include Brian and the rest of the officers in the information that 2010 I stood up at the national conference and made a comment about the fact that we weren't getting information right away. I got shot down, but we're getting information right now. I truly appreciate it. We're getting information out to our members. They're keeping informed.
Who's moderating? Because someone needs to count their hands on who's first. Who's on first, because we don't know who's still in third or throwing back to second.
Sandra Glenn, branch 140. I guess I wanted to ask a question to the board. What are we going to do about the current environment that the supervisors are incurring with all the stress? I mean, my supervisors are literally running scared because at any moment they're going to get hit with discipline for not issuing a scan sheet to a carrier. There's one scan missed. Give that supervisor corrective action. I've had that happen. And it's just gotten kind of rampant. It's in the Detroit district. I had heard that the district manager had made a comment to a postmaster who repeated it to me, saying that he's going to start a program where at a certain time when you're done with your hot case, that you would go on the web, a local web page, and say you're all clear, and then right after that you'll have a team come in, and if you're found to have any first-class mail, there you go. So, I mean, when's it going to start?
That's just something else we need to do, to go back on the website. So that's one thing. So Pat has made it clear to the presidents and to the officers at the headquarters, that's not the way you want to operate. You should be allowed, you don't want to encourage mistakes, but people make mistakes, and we need to do that. The thing that I could suggest that we be more specific, I can bring that up to the headquarters level without going, or talk to Joanne Fight, since she's in this area, and I could go directly to her because I like to think of her as a friend. But he's encouraging about changing the workplace environment because it's very toxic, and I'm pretty for it, and I'm surprised something hasn't happened. I thank God it hasn't. But things are very stressful out there, and we realize that. And Pat realized that, and I'll bring it up to Tony again, because Tony actually brought it up to me at first and mentioned about the possibilities or what we need to do. But it's more so not from the headquarters level, it's the area district level that are putting pressure because they want to cover their behinds. You know, and that's where it's at. But please, if we have any specific that we need to talk about, I'll gladly take it up to headquarters and talk to Tony about it, because workforce plays a big part if we make our budget enough. You know, if you have people that want to go to work, they're going to produce better. If you have that, you go to bed at night and you start thinking about, oh, what the hell I forgot. That's the only thing in your mind. You wake up in the morning and you say, well, what am I going to face? Somebody's going to talk to me about this. What miscan we get? That's not the way to live a life. And we need to know and put more emphasis on that. So feel free to give me more specifics, and particularly like if it was a district manager, because that district manager influences 5,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's the point about a postmaster that may have 500 people, or can they have up to 2,500 people? So it flows down. One person can mess up the environment for everybody else. So we need to know that. And feel free to pick up the phone and give me a call, because those are the type of things that I will encourage headquarters they need to look into. In particular down here, the area VPs and their NAPS headquarters have a pretty good relationship. That they've been very responsive to those actions. So we encourage everybody to do that. Thank you.
President, I just want to make sure that some of these things that are general, we'll make sure we get the questions back to the resident officers so that we have communication via Joanne and them together, so that we're all on top of this, and we'll follow up too.
You know, just to add, part of the strategy that you should employ is the installation head. Be it if you're in the station and it's the postmaster requiring it, or if it's the district manager requiring it, your branch needs to set up a meeting with the district manager, send them an agenda a week ahead of time, and that needs to be one of the agenda items. Excuse me?
You won't meet with us.
Well, if he won't meet with you, you request a meeting.
What's the name?
Chuck Howe.
Chuck won't meet with you?
He won't meet with local presidents. Only
Well, we'll change that, all right? If you make the request to meet, and if he doesn't respond to you, it'll get moved to your respective area VP, which I believe is Kevin. And if we don't get action, Megan Brennan will find out. But we need to start at the bottom up, request a meeting, and say you want a meeting to talk about this subject. So there's no secret what you want to talk about. And if he ducks and dodges you, we'll move it up the ladder. All right?
I'll take that up.
Okay. Thank you.
The gentleman in the back of the room, yes.
Jeffers fully can't sit in Prairie, Ryan Sutter, 6, and we actually had that same thing in Mid-America District where RDD and Gail Hendricks won't meet with the local president, she only wants to meet with the state president. Now the next question is negligence. The managers, supervisors, we're all postmasters, we're always held accountable for negligence. We get put off the clock, we get fired. Easy case. I have a situation, I handle 640 office. I have a situation in one office where I'm going to pay this guy, because I handle the Farm Aid on the city side, I'm going to pay a guy $12,000 this year, $1,000 a month, because the MD of the district doesn't want to let him work 4 hours of peak time, 4 hours of penalty a week, because there's no way around it. And just long story short, no way around it. They got 10 routes, they only got 7 people to carry, so they got Raymond on his day off in the city home and aid, and mandate everybody else now on the list. The violation Article 8, it looks good, because what happens, the report shows up, oh, no peak time. Bottom line is we're turning around on the labor side, and we're paying all these hundreds of thousands of dollars nationwide, probably millions nationwide, on Article 8 violations, and that's plain negligence. How can we get them to be held accountable?
Jeff, did they ever give you a reason why they allowed that?
Huh?
What's the reason why that station manager or?
Well, because it's penalty overtime, they don't want to authorize, they don't want to authorize penalty overtime.
So
they
they're-
want to pay a carrier time and a half, and then turn around and pay the guy $213.
Just pay him.
But that's going on everywhere. And my problem with that is we're in the hole financially, we're losing all this money, but yet we're going to turn around and give the carrier side free money when we don't need to. And that's negligence. To me, the OIG should be involved, and postal inspectors, whatever, they should go after all these DMs and upper management. That's the community.
Back basket, where is it?
Where's the $20 for snack goes to? But Jeff, Larry, and not Charles, but Larry and I get together on that. We'll come up with something though, because it should be allowed, and we'll move it on up the ladder. Just give me, I need specific names and all that. I know, isn't that your station?
No. That was actually built post office.
Okay, I'll talk to you about it, but we are in dire needs of money right now, so I agree with you.
Charles Lane.
All said, Randy Ortiz. This is a general question. Has anything been done about that OIG finding that the Postal Service was bureaucrating so many of our merits last year or 2 years ago?
Charles, we have a meeting coming up Monday, and to sort of like put the background to rest and come up and negotiate a settlement. I feel comfortable that we'll come up with a settlement. Anybody who's active should be compensated and made whole, as the union word. The retirees may present a problem, but they should be given the money that's due to them. And the process it takes, that's up to the post office. They created the problem. So don't tell me it's going to cost a lot to fix it, because that's your problem you created. But we'll have more information after the Monday's meeting, and we're going to start meeting with Doug Tolino about the possibility of selling it. If not settled, we're going to go to court. How successful that can be, some cases won't prevail in our favor, or previous cases where the employee promised somebody something and didn't give it to, but then there's other cases against us. Right now the attorney says it's about 50-50. That's why we have a tendency of settling, and I think we will be able to settle the case with Doug within the next couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Stephanie.
Stephanie Hartman, grade 14. My question is regarding SWIFT. Again, in this environment that we're working in, everything that the supervisor does daily is with the computer. We're not giving any time for administrative duties.
No.
And when we shorten office one supervisor, the remaining supervisors there are still required to do everything indoors, do all copying, put all accidents, do the CSV, SSRD, and I can go on and on and on. And there is no credit given for administrative duties. We really need our national officers to be steadfast. Steadfast. We either need some administrative help, or we need to be given credit for the work that the supervisors are doing. We want to know why we can't get it done. They're overwhelmed. That's right. Our resident officers.
Well, as I stated when I was doing the switch before in the previous session, I'm one of the ones that Louis is assigned to the switch committee. It's going to be me and 2 other gentlemen from the executive board. That's absolutely one of the prime focuses we're going to have. The administrative, as I said then, the transparent move to HR is far from transparent on our end. And that's absolutely, we have got to figure out a way to document it. And that's a difficult thing to do, but we have reason to believe they're going to be very receptive to the concept that administrative duties have become a much larger portion of the delivery supervisor's job. So we'll find a way. We just got to we have to find a way to quantify it that we can put it into a spreadsheet like that, because that's the only thing they listen to is the spreadsheet. If you have suggestions on ways to quantify it, advance those to us.
We'll do that. Just make sure you get some supervisors involved in that process that's doing it every day.
Absolutely.
Because even with the new, we go into doing that new HEHSRRC.
It's easy for you to say.
Yeah, even the people that committed it don't know how it works. So I've been involved in the duo. My first duo was Winnetka into Glenview, Illinois. It's taken 6 weeks for the people to even come on the web point. And I was on the phone, literally, hours and hours and hours with the resource center. They have their own for the EHSRCC. 4 over 2 hours a day. So it's a monumental thing.
It's the real value of being able to get together like this with this much diversity in areas and districts and locations. Over the hospitality room last night, I heard that very conversation. There are issues going on now with regards to that when you get on the help desk for better understanding of that, they tell you to lie. Answer something differently than the truth is, because it makes it easier to do. Those are kind of things we need to get specifics on from you guys, and they can be anonymous as long as we can document them, and we'll carry those forward and get them tuned up.
Thank you.
I know Ken Bunch is jumping on his chair back there, but just to add, we have 1 station manager and 2 active supervisors, well, 2 station managers, and 1 active person that's on that team already. Jay is heading up the team from the headquarters standpoint of view, but the other 3 members are actively employed in the field. They deal with it every day.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Ken?
Ken Bunch, Brad 23, Detroit. Just to help with Stephanie's point, in terms of being able to document that, I manage health and resource management or injury conference. And I can tell you with that new EHS system, is a mandate from headquarters that all claims go into that system. Well, I have put at least 6 claims in there just to train my people. It takes 2 hours if you know how to do it. Right? Okay, so if you look at every office that has an accident or injury, then you just figure they spend 2 to 3 hours trying to put that accident in there.
That's right.
You can just count that because it takes that long, even if you know how to do it with.
Yes.
Okay, so that's just a thing first.
Thank you, Ken. I'll take that back up there and deal with it. But going back to SWCS, which is one of our primary things that we'll be dealing with in the future right now, is that it's based strictly on the number of employees. And that's where we lose it all when we do, because most of our work is administrative, not covered. Took the finance, took the personnel people away. We doing all the work, so they realize that. We brought up that on numerous occasions. So we're going to try to get that fixed. Thank you, Ken, for that. I'll be in touch with you, Ken, to get a little bit more about that system when I take it up there.
Cindy Berger, along the same lines as that, when you bring in a new system, when you call the 800 number and you ask them about, I used to use the Form 500, and they go, I'm a postmaster from this city, I've never filled out an HR form before in my life. I'm just here to help you through the new system. It really makes it difficult when you're trying to do something when the training they gave you was, excuse my language, piss poor. When you looked on the website, it said coming soon, and yet we were mandated to use it.
It's true. Remember when it started?
And when you call, and I agree with them, when you call the 800 number, they tell you it's easier if you just say you're not an automated bid site. I know you don't probably want to lie, but lie anyway, it'll go much easier for you.
Again, thank you for that information.
One thing, I know I was talking with a few people on the break, and even Ken and I talked about a little bit, and this is where even in training forums like this, we're going to have to, because we have people that work in the HR departments, we're going to have to give some training to give that to the supervisors, because we're not going to get that from the Postal Service. So we can't look to them. Yes, we should get it, but we're going to have to help cover each other's back. So that's what we talked about. We're going to have to get a little more extensive on some of the training and get it down to where the supervisors, yeah, they may not become as proficient to get it to 2 hours, but we want to get it to where they're going to get in there and they don't have to call somebody else. They can figure it out and start maneuvering to speed up the time to get that in. So that's where we're going to have to take the lead to start training and developing some of our people.
But it don't work.
Next name was actually Joe Shepherd.
Joe Shepherd, President for Illinois. I have a concern that I see, I think, and I'm a delivery unit supervisor, that I think is happening more and more. And as a NAPS representative, you know, on the local level and on the state level, I guess I would like your input on how to proceed with situations like this. It does kind of jump a little bit on what Jeff had to say, and that is moving things around in columns so that we don't end up on a list because we're over a budget hour in this. And a specific instance would be during an influx of university parcels that came in August and July, or August and September, there's just simply no way that the city carriers can take out 400 or 500 parcels per route and get those books delivered, which is primarily what it is. So they used RCAs to come in and deliver those, assist in delivering those parcels, then of course the union's going to file and all the people on the overtime list are going to get paid, okay? That's how it's going to work. Well, what that does for me then next year, are we now saying that those parcels were delivered but weren't in my budget in city delivery? They had RCAs come in and do those, okay? So when we're, in my opinion, when we're knowingly violating the contract, as a supervisor, when our instructions are, I mean, I understand I'll follow instructions all day, but when we're knowingly violating the contract, and I think if you haven't ever worked in an office where you followed someone who was playing with the numbers or putting things in columns or clusterings or whatever where it made them look good, and then someone honest comes in and tries to run an honest operation, it makes it really difficult for that next person. I mean, would you like us to appeal those decisions that are being made, or how do you want us to handle that?
The thing that I would do, I would write back to my boss email that says, is this your instruction for me to bring in RCAs to deliver this amount of mail and put this on his back? You have something in writing that says that, hey, you're going to do something that you can refer to. And that's the way I would make that decision. I would never break the contract unless I had something in writing from my superior telling me that this is what he wanted me to do.
You already took my thunder on that. That's basically what you do. You just read that because they won't send it to you. Odds are they won't send it to you in email. Yes. And so what you do, and this goes for everything that you do, not just that type of thing, everything that they won't put in writing, send them an email. As I understand it, you want me to, and if they don't respond, that's okay, because what you got in writing is 10 times more valuable than their failure to recall. So write it down. Just send them an email saying, is this what I understand? Whether they respond to you or not, doesn't matter. Keep that. Carbon copy yourself. Line copy yourself. That's the only thing you can do at this point. Moving forward with it, and in order to get that corrected, you're going to have to put your name on the line because you're going to have to take some ownership in it. If you're prepared to do that, we can escalate that on up. There's going to be feedback probably. There's consequences for what we do.
Moving over to my left side of the room.
Nancy, and if I could have one more thing, if it's going to affect your budget, stick a copy of that in your MPA file for down the road, folks. Just keep putting that stuff in there so you can recall it later. Okay, Nancy.
All right, moving to my left, I know I have hands over here, but I've been notified that somebody over there has been waiting for a while. Yes, right.
Lori Weiler, Branch 16. I'd just like to know if there's any action being taken through headquarters on to get 204Bs promoted into management instead of having them on a long-term detail in an acting supervisor position.
We've engaged since ASP was annihilated and destroyed, we're in the presence of initial level supervisors training, something similar to what we went to last year. But we have to give them more input, and there is a meeting date, I don't know exactly when, that we're going to meet with them and go back to some type of training and deal with that and put back a structured program again. That structured program is going to be dealing a lot with on-the-job training, not as much formal training as ICASP was, and online training. It's going to be very close to the initial level supervisors temporary program that's in existence right now.
Just
follow
up on that on-the-job training. I know in the past, especially in our area, we typically find that 204Bs that have applied for a supervisor position have not passed the test that they've offered in the past. What are we doing to, and they turn out that they would make excellent management people, what are we doing to help them be able to bump up to that next level and become part of EAS?
Yeah, well, the 650 is the test that they must pass. But it's incumbent upon his supervisors to start to helping him to prepare, do those things that he may be weak in. If it's the verbal language or math or whatever is in that on the test, his immediate supervisor and the immediate second string level supervisor should be aiding him because that's where it's going to start from. Kevin's gonna answer.
There's a I don't know what you want to call it, PACE test through PEDC. Used to be there for mathematics and things. So check with your PEDC person to see if that's still available so that they can take that off the clock or whatever you guys want to make arrangements for. And that's one of the things that are there that are available. So, and then if they're going on, there's an there used to be the AM for PM, Administrative Manual for Postmasters years ago. That's also off the clock, but it's available. And they'll start getting skills by taking those classes. Just look through PEDC to see if they're still available through the LMS system. Well, they'll have something. Just check with them.
But what about the people that have passed the test? What about the people that have passed the test in the past, but they failed to promote them?
Well, really, right now,
Lori, at our past board meeting, that subject came up and we got that information, and Lori, that Louis just gave you, that there will be a follow-up to the old ASP. One of the comments that was made was it's not going to be test-oriented like the past, that there will be more consideration given to the recommendation of the supervisors that are there working for. So we'll have input as we draw up the new program. But again, they're not going to start promoting those 204Bs right away because we're in the same situation where they're holding those level 17s for landing spots for possible duos and further consolidations. But it's on the drawing board. It'll take a while to come, but it'll be more on recommendations and the job that they've shown, and they're not going to fail just because they couldn't pass the test.
One thing I want to piggyback on is we still need to concentrate on the supervisors we've got keeping their jobs. Not that it's I'm not trying to, you're I'm there for advice later, but really we got to keep what we've got going first and move forward with that. But there are ways for you to mentor your people and just follow up.
From here, I've seen 3 hands. Mine, there's a gentleman in the back with a blue shirt across the aisle. A lady, I'm going to go in that order. Mike, this gentleman.
Michael Winters, French 255. We have a situation going on in Gateway District, and I don't know what's going on anywhere else, and want the advice of what I should tell people on fire email scanning. This is part right on the telecon. I don't know who exactly was talking, but I actually got to hear it. One of the telecons, my station manager brought me in, and they do this week in telecon to bring up scanning percentage. What they're saying is going to the end of the day to the ICE computer, run the report, find out what ones have missed being scanned with an acceptable delivery scan, and then go to the carrier, go look and see if it's there. If it's not there, go to the carrier. Did you deliver this? They say yes, manually input it. Well, it's been delivered. My station manager has a real problem with that, and so do I, because he's like, yeah, it didn't get scanned, it was taken or stolen, and yours is one, your scan or your ID showing that you did it.
Okay, the most recent NAPS HQU that came out, those of you who are getting it, Louis assigned me to a workforce engagement team, also headquarters, representing NAPS. And it has to do with customer satisfaction and things like that. One of the issues was brought up was scanning. And I brought up, because how important it is, and I'm going to get the customers, and I brought up the fact they're scanning after the fact at 7 o'clock at night, and I said, when I told them, the vice president in charge of this, Sam Palumko or whatever, was shocked. And I said, look, I'm just telling you, that's falsification. They're sending me they're supposed to send me the procedures for the scanning. I will send it out. There are set processes in place. You shouldn't be deviating from it, because you shouldn't be putting in a scan at 7 o'clock at night because the package isn't on the shelf because you think the carrier delivered it. That's falsification. We had an issue on the executive board when Charlie Ciala was discussed with a case where somebody is being charged for falsification because they were putting in the scans, and it's your scan, it's your number, after the fact. You can't verify it if it wasn't delivered. You're not supposed to be doing it. Getting that information from headquarters, I will give it to, we'll make sure we get that sent out. But there is a process in place for doing the scanning, and you shouldn't be deviating from it. And if you're having those issues, you bring it on up. Because I already brought it up at this workforce engagement, and the APW was sitting there, and the NELC was sitting there, so I just put them on notice. It's being done. All right? So if it's happening, let us know. We will address it. Don't falsify.
Dealing with Nebraska State President. Real general question. Who's going to stop the train? I mean, the problem that everybody has right now is that, you know, just like now, I'm on details with Beacon. They just went through their AMP meeting or their you know, whether or not they're going to have the facility open or not. The Postal Service is a sham right now. You know, there's nothing that, it seems that there's nothing that any of you, anybody can tell them anything they want to do. They're not listening. It's just straightforward. I'm closing these facilities and you can't stop them. How do we prevent that?
Congress is the only one that can make sure that they stop. The legislative session yesterday was wonderful. That's the only way that we can put a hold on things, exactly the things that you're referring to.
I know, Ed, you mentioned how we're going to stop the train. You know what? The train's not going to stop. We just got to get it on the right track. I mean, if you want to use analogies. Because you're right. It's going to be Congress, and it's going to be pushing back the fact that, you know, we talked about people need, you know, critical positions posted. You have to bring them on up. You know, it's going to be key that we're all stakeholders and keep bringing the information up. That train isn't going to stop. It's just going to, hopefully, we can slow it down from being a wreck and then get it on the right track, because it is. You know, so just be careful.
I think Kelly had on the board, you know, we just got to make sure the train's on the right track, but we just can't sit there or we're going to get run over. And that's very important to remember. We got to keep moving forward to make sure we're doing ours.
Okay, I have 3 on the list. There's a lady on mine.
Nancy, just a second. I'm going to tell you, right now we have in Michigan 3 key members of Congress. Congressman Upton, Justin Amash, and Camp, that sit on committees or on the super committee. One of them, Congressman Upton, we go to regularly. Kelly Johnson, our branch president, Anthony Bradley. That's what we stressed yesterday. That's how one option. Going to the town hall meetings and putting your information out there in the public record is another way. You've got to take this SPAC money and use it too. All of you need to show up locally. And you also need to build your own relationship with your member of Congress. Because when you walk in a room and they come up to us in a room of millionaires, and I'm telling the truth, am I not, Kelly? And they recognize us. Hello, Kelly. Hi, Anthony. Hi, Kevin. Don't you think that means something? Use the SPAC, use the legislative network. There's a lot of avenues. The train's all going to come into one station eventually. And that's on Capitol Hill. Yes.
Okay. We have 6 minutes remaining. I have 3 hands to recognize, beginning over on my left with this lady. Then she will be followed by the lady from Wisconsin. And then Pam from St. Louis.
Patty Murphy, branch 16 out of Minneapolis. I know I kind of brought this up yesterday, but I do want to bring it up one more time before we leave. And I got a comment also is I hope we're going to be looking at not posting any jobs outside of who we already have working for the Postal Service. And we make any jobs that are available a landing spot for those who are already postal employees, specifically about the sales, trying to hire outside. And my comment is, I personally want to thank you, and I'm sure our branch wants to thank you for the excellent job you guys have done in the last 2 days. And I hope we can look forward to doing this maybe annually, and maybe selecting different cities as we do it annually. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first a comment about the SWIFT. I want to make sure the team adds on there. I know in Lakeland we are mandated to do 2 hours of street supervision a day for any supervisor that supervises carriers. The next thing I want to make sure we have on SWIFT, we have now been added to a consumer affairs program for if you had so many complaints and you went below their respective order that they came up with, where you are now to take and write on, they have a big form, every phone call that you have to take notes of it, and then 5 days later you have to go back and make sure you've contacted them a second time, and then you have to make sure you take both of those and enter it into the computer under Consumer Affairs Program, and so they're mandating that, and they're having people come out once a week to make sure we're doing it. And then they said once you get on their list, from their questionnaires they sent out to the community about how your post office is responding, you'll never get off the list. So I told the other day, I guess the only thing for me to do is tell you I've never had a bad phone call. And then I won't have to do all these requirements. But I'll make sure that's included on SWIC. But then my other question is, since we found out that the NPSB, we're not getting anything the next 2 years, are we getting goals that they're going to mandate us to put in for 2012? Because I haven't heard anything yet.
It's only 5 minutes.
Right now, I don't know if they're going to mandate the goals being put into a system, but I knew they have a right to set goals or monitor or evaluate you. But they haven't discussed with us the actual how they're going to do this process. I can ask and find out. If I bring it up, they may say we're going to mandate it, you know. So we may just wait and see. Have anybody been given goals for fiscal year 2012? I'll keep my mouth shut then. No, we don't want to ask. But they haven't discussed it with us. Maybe they're just going to let it go. Yes, Jeff?
Next speaker is Pam out of St. Louis.
Retention register. Remember that if we ever get on a retention register, you're going to need that evaluation. What, Pam, you said? Right.
Pam Catherine, branch 131, home of the World Series champion. Piggyback on her comment. I just wanted to make a comment. You guys have done an excellent job. All of the presenters have been excellent. Yes, we need to do this again. To see the resident officers here, awesome. That's all I have to say. Just wanted to say thank you.
I'm going to need to lose about 10 pounds before I come back. So I've been eating every moment I've been in here.
I just wanted to say that.
We can take one more since that. Kelly wanted to mention something.
I just want to find out what the secret is from the executive board to keep Kevin from talking to a minimum.
Watch this. Kevin, you talk to a minimum only, period. Shut him up. No, he's awesome on the board. He represents y'all well.
And he wasn't on the list.
Good. No, but the reason I can just say y'all have been awesome. You know, you've been participated all the issues. I can see you really care. You love your job. You love the people that you work with. You try to represent, and that's truly awesome. Our job is really minimum compared to yours. Believe me, y'all are doing a fantastic job in just caring about each other. The human aspect is overwhelming. We got one more. Oh, that's Teresa. Okay.
I just have a question. If we get all these pay freezes and everything, you guys take a pay freeze? Are you still get cost of living?
Sweetheart, I'm afraid my pay has been frozen since 2008. Y'all did me an injustice then. Y'all been getting pay raises, but the national officers have not. Y'all took that away. We used to get the same thing y'all got. But back in 2008, you took that away. So you think about giving me a pay raise now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I love you, but somebody already told me, see, if I go to the convention, they're going to tell me, you know, your pay rate is going to amount to the same thing I'm getting. 0. Ken?
Echo the same sentiments that everybody else has done with this has been actually really happy, and we all greatly appreciate it. But I want to ask a question about why all of the secrecy at the headquarters level? And the reason I ask that question is, the secrecy makes us look incompetent. It makes us as an organization or even the postal service look incompetent. And when I say that because on March 25th, we merged with the Southeast Michigan Detroit District D. And in a meeting the day before that merger was going to effect, I asked the district manager, I said, are you telling me that tomorrow I'm in charge of the entire health and resource management function for the district that we're taking over?
And his response to me was, Ken, tomorrow I'm the district manager for both districts, so tomorrow you're in charge of health and resource management for both districts. However, my problem is, I couldn't even see those folks in the computer until May. Okay? I couldn't even see them in the computer system until May. And we took over in March. I mean, when Brother Ed stood up and said, when's the train gonna stop, or what? I mean, it's like, my IT manager would have been fired the next day if that had happened in the company I was running. Right. How can you function that way when you've been planning for months to make this merger?
Ken, I'd like to share with you, the Postal Service has been a dysfunctional organization for quite some time right now. But you're right, many of them, in my opinion, and Pat's saying is that everything is open book now. But when you come to the technical stuff like that, they want to keep it so close to the vest. They don't want to share it with the IT people to put those names in there, so they wait till the announcement. They're keeping everything secret for one reason. They believe that they give them the power in secrecy, that if I know more secrets than you, that means my level is higher than you. That's one thing. Another thing, they don't want to share some things with Congress. Because if they share things with Congress too early, it's going to get back, and the constituents within that area are going to form some type of appeal process to make them change their minds. That's part of the secrecy, and that's what's really hurting us, that we don't share among the postal people exactly what's going on. If I'm doing something right, I don't mind other people knowing about it. Sometimes they're just trying to sneak this in. And the selfishness I spoke about yesterday, that's the reason for some of it. But a lot of people in the Postal Service would be fired, particularly at 475 Longfire Plaza, if they were in the regular corporate world, because that's not the way the corporate world operates. The government world operates like that, but Congress is so much involved today, it scares the Postal Service. I think Jay mentioned yesterday about the integrity and what Congress believes, that the truth about the Postal Service is zero. They take nothing that they say at face value or can believe what they say. That's because of the secrecy they play. It's the higher up. It's not your NAPS organization. It's not even on the district level or the area level that they play the secret games. But the people that's right there that's trying to maneuver and get things done, because Pat is actually placating to Congress rather than to the employees. He's doing what Congress wants him to do rather than to make sure the employees are doing the right thing and the Postal Service is doing the right thing. He needs things passed, laws and bills in Congress passed, so he's making sure that they're up to date, and he's doing everything they want to get those bills passed, not about what the employees care or the service that we're about ready to give. Okay. Any other questions? Hey, again, it's a pleasure, and feel free, this is not the only time we can answer your questions. Feel free to contact any of the national officers, and we try to get the information to them so they can answer the questions. So, and sometimes, the email and the message you get can be a little blurry and not clear. You want to know the straight answer. Pick up the phone or email them back and make sure that you're translating that information to your constituents and your membership down the local branch, and everybody. Power is sharing information, not keeping it. Thank you.
All right, before we adjourn to break off into the final class selection, I wanted to just go ahead and say a few things and thank a few people, because I know after that last class, if I try to get everybody back here for the closing remarks, they're going to probably be gone. So I just wanted to try to, first thing, anytime you're trying to put something together and it's your first time, you get a little anxiety, you're not sure. And I used to joke with my mother a lot, every year Thanksgiving she's doing all this cooking and preparation and trying to get everything ready. And then when we sit down to eat, she won't even eat. And I'm like, Mom, you did all this cooking? but she was tired from after getting it all together, and she wants you to enjoy the benefits of it. So I kind of know what she's like, because, you know, trying to put all this together, you wonder if it's going to work, is it not going to work? So I'm hopefully, and I'm glad that you all enjoyed it. But anytime you do anything, you can't do it by yourself. And basically, I will tell you, actually, the majority of the kudos goes to your area VPs, because I really could have done it without them. Talked about it and we met on it, and most of you know Brian being the former Central Region VP. We all met up here in June at this hotel just to meet to try to see if we could bring this together. And him being former Central Region VP, he was here pushing us to try to make it happen and put some things together. But Neil, we got some ideas out there. Neil took them over the top, so a lot of your badges and the portfolios and things, you know, he came together and put them together. Of course, you know, Nancy and Larry, even before I became an officer, he was my Mink Area VP, so he was always a mentor of mine, but he kept pushing me, and I called him and called him. And my wingman, most of you met, is Kevin, because he called me every day up until the day it happened. He called me every day. And I have my supervisor back there. She'll tell you at work every day. Literally, it was, if it wasn't in the morning, it was in the afternoon. There was a call from Kevin on something needed to be changed or tweaked just a little bit to make it happen. So, well, we couldn't do it without the resident officers, you know, having them here, Brian. But we couldn't do it without them. But we want to also thank the auxiliary, because they were here pitching in, and actually, we didn't even talk to the auxiliary about trying to do anything or arrange it. They just took the ball and ran with it. And so we really want to thank them. And you know, sometimes even when you're trying and you think you got it well, and to some of you all, you think, man, that was pretty good, that worked out good. But I can almost tell you, sometimes God puts stuff in your midst that you don't even know. I talked to Lenita Pitts there, probably the day before I got ready to come here. And some of you kept bugging me. You said, oh, what's the agenda? What's the agenda? And I sent out something quick just to keep people from asking me what the agenda was. And Nita got the program, and she said, Craig, is that what you're going to send out? So she took the ball on her own and redesigned. I sent her some stuff, and within a couple of hours, she redesigned the program, sent it to me. People like that, we all have skills and talent, you know, and the final thing, I sent her the survey. She tailored it up and fixed it up, and you know, sometimes it looks like Craig did something. Craig was just here and they did the work, and I'm sitting back here just moving my head and no. And they made it happen. But we want to make sure that, you know, we thank those. As well, some of you don't know, we went with, there's a lady, Sherry Davies, out of Conference Direct. She kind of helped plan behind the scenes to help me get some of this stuff together as well. So we appreciate it. I hope you all enjoyed it. I can't speak for all the officers, but it's our mission and job is to give you the people what you want. It's not for Craig to decide what's best for you. It's for you all to tell us what you need for us to give to you. And if it's more training, more development, if it's trying to give you the skills and tools to do your job a little bit better, to make it a little bit easier for you, that's what our job is. So just want to thank everybody for coming out. The last class, your surveys. If you'll pass them down to the end of whatever row you're on, and they'll take them for me, and we'll take a look at them. I'll look at all of them, and we'll try to go from there. The last OSHA class, MS 47, it will be in this room, and then we will have time management in Salon E and F. Again, thanks for coming out, and be safe and careful going home. Oh! Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's all
I'm
right.
sorry. That's why I say I got all these people that help me stepping in the hole. But if you just go ahead and take them with you, oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Hand them to the instructor of your last class.
We passed them over, most of us.
Too late.
Yeah. No, but everything else is good, so hey.
Okay. If you fill it up, fine. If you needed another one, we can get you another one if you want to add something. Yes, Kelly.
We were wondering if to defray the cost of the expenses of this gathering, if you're going to auction off that beautiful shirt of yours.
The El Matador. See, I ain't joking.
That's precious. I will remind you as well, there will still be the hospitality room tonight. For those that are not leaving, I think, what do we say, 7:30 or 8, get your chance, 8 o'clock. So if you get a chance to get you some dinner, relax. Some of them closed it before they closed me. I went to sleep and they were still in there. But,
You know,
so it'll be available tonight if you want to come, because like I said, what's in there is for you, the delegates who took the time to break away from your families and your loved ones during this Veterans holiday. So, that's it. Anything else, everybody?
No, we will be raffling off the El Matador shirt, though. All
right, thanks a lot.